6.0, reconvene open session, procedural business. 6.1, call to order. The Board of Trustees are hereby reconvening open session at 5:37 p.m. 6.2, roll call. Trustees to identify themselves by first and last name to formally establish quorum. Dana Ridland, Area 2.
Cindy Gardner, Area 3.
Jordan Zaragi, trustee area 5, Brennan Springs, Area Lake, Green Valley Lake.
Bill Mellinger, trustee area 1.
And Dr. Natalie Linden is not able to be with us tonight for personal reasons. 6.3, Pledge of Allegiance, and it's so cool to have people here. Really? Okay. This is Cindy talking. Steve Rose, could you please lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
7.0, closed session report. Announcement of reportable actions taken during closed session. There were none. 8.0, public testimony. 8.1, public comment period for items listed on this agenda and non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board.
None at this time.
8.3, RTA and CSCA representatives. Do we have anybody speaking on behalf of RTA? CSCA? No? Okay. 9.0, governing board members' reports and announcements. 9.1, governing board members. Bill, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, okay, I really feel privileged to be first because buses are running, students are on campus, administrators are getting to see their staff in person. Technology is working. What can I say? We're back, and I'm really trying to avoid my spiritual words. Praise God, but it's wonderful, and so I'm excited for all of you, and excited. And it was fun to be on the campus, to be greeting those students as they came in, and to see parents coming there, and so. Just good news. Also, I should say I've been continuing my trainings with Masters in Governance, with equity training, with learning about financing and budgeting. And it will be nice to not do Zoom all the time.
Hey, Phil. Jordan, your turn.
Well, good evening. Yes, this is an interesting evening that we've got some members of the audience tonight. That is a nice thing to see as we start ramping up to hopefully a term that we can start saying post-pandemic, and hopefully that'll be reality soon. As far as things going, for districts, generally speaking, I know Cindy has some updates for legislative updates, but I still would like to touch on the outlook for school districts financially speaking. I mentioned this a lot, but there is a financial cliff on the horizon for school districts. We were given, and it's all a result of ADA hold harmless, so school districts are getting that same funding that they've been getting during, through this pandemic. But the problem is most school districts in the state are facing declining enrollment. So if you were to follow year over year, those schools would really be getting lesser funds each year. We were getting ADA hold harmless. So when you get to the 22-23 school year, there's just a big financial cliff to equalize with the rate of decline that we've been seeing. So we've got some more advocacy work to do. But on the flip side, we have ESSER 2 funds from the December CARES Act, and we've got ESSER 3 funds from the American Rescue Plan Act that we still don't have all of the details on what that is and how it'll look. But all this to say, we've got the governor's May revise coming up as well. So there's a lot of unknowns for school district financials in the future. But please, if you're interested in what's going on, come and talk to one of those board members, and we'll gladly talk your ear off about, yes, there might be some new funds, and yes, there might be, some other concerns on the horizon, like ADA whole time list. I know Cindy's going to talk about the Lakeside bill, and that's still going to have some impacts to some school districts out there. And that'll have, that'll need some work. And we talk to and work with other districts all the time, but really, this is just the your financial PSA, and hopefully we can keep anyone and everyone who's interested aware of the financial goings-on of our district. We're happy to talk about it and happy to think on any creative solutions. I know that it's always brought up at LCAP meetings too. Of course, we have our budget committee that's been going strong now for our third year. Yeah, been there. So anyway, that's what I wanted to spend some time on tonight. It's an important issue, and funds are what makes our school districts go around, and us as a board being on top of all of that, Jenny being more on top of it than anyone I know, and admin attending meetings all the time that affect the school district financials are just something we have to keep an eye on. It's a problem that all districts are facing: declining enrollment, ADA funding's not being funded at appropriate levels and whatnot. And I'll just end it there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Cindy. So I have a lot on the legislative side, so I'll just get to that report. However, just like Bill started equity training with CSBA and Michelle, that went really well. Excited about the next one on April 24th. Really great activities. And Bill and I ended up in the same breakout room. So that was kind of cool. That was really nice. He's a funny guy. So then senior activities, I'm really excited still about all the senior activities that are alternate senior activities. Again, Snow Valley, March 18th on student non-attendance days, seniors from both high schools were invited to free lift tickets and free rentals at Snow Valley, at the Lake Arrowhead Pizza and Deli. Dave Doyle invited seniors from 3 to 6 on March 30th to get a deal, $5 for pizza, fries, and a Coke. So that was pretty cool. And this Friday, April 16th, that's tomorrow, from 2:30 to 7, Senior Day at Sky Park, which is a reduced admission for seniors of both high schools, Mountain as well as Rum High School. So seniors, if you're out there listening, probably not, but please go to Sky Park. They're going to have some really fun things for you to do. In the meantime, there has been the senior yard signs were delivered, and seniors have been picking up those signs. Thank you to PTA. We're going to start tile painting, where seniors get to paint or glaze a tile, and Jason Steinmeier will fire them up, and they'll be mounted to and added to the senior square. So that's pretty cool. They'll get to literally leave their mark on the school finally. The class of 2021, yay! They also we are doing the adopt a gift, adopt a gift, Lord. Okay. Adopt a senior, that's coming soon. Amanda Woodruff and I will be organizing that, and because she did it last year, and it's going to be really, really fun. That's going to be great, and community members can get involved in adopting a senior. The Desert Mountain Region meeting was held, the second one, which is exciting. Eric Swanson, who's a board member on Hesperia's board, he has been envisioning this forever, where the high desert and the mountains get together, the school boards, and we talk to everyone from our supervisors to our other elected officials, our assembly members, our state senators. The guy that does the economic growth thing that still hasn't reached the mountain, that's kind of staying in the desert. What is that guy's name? Anyways, but it's a really great way to get to know not just our own senator and assembly member, but others that you can use and network in your advocacy. So I really have to commend Eric Swanson from Hesperia for finally getting that off the ground. And CSBA has recognized what a great advocacy avenue that is, in addition to CSBA's efforts as well. So that's kind of cool that we're invited to that party. And so far, the rest of it is under ledge report because there's a lot, because I've gone to a ton of meetings. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, I'll go ahead and give my comments. Will be brief. Over the past several months, I've talked about just various things that I appreciate as far as what's happening around the mountain, and especially within the school district. And I'm just going to beg everybody who might be listening in to do the same. Education has been incredibly tough this past year, and in various ways, our staff has really stepped up. Bus drivers doing a beautiful job of painting and cleaning and doing things beyond their job description, especially teachers. Their whole lives got turned upside down as far as what they were trained to do versus what they found themselves having to do this past year. So what I would ask of everybody is to recognize the Herculean efforts that have been put out by quite a few people in our community, lots of folks, whether it's Snow Valley, extending opportunities to our seniors, or the painting that's happened, or especially teachers who have found their jobs changing on, every couple months, things have changed on them, and they have been plodding forward, doing things that they never thought they would have to do. And for our students who have, again, also been kind of the tail end of the whip with everything that's happened with COVID. So instead of taking a negative look at all the things that we've had to contend with, recognize all of the amazing efforts and to show that appreciation. I know that there are a lot of teachers who need to hear that right now. I imagine there are also just various folks around the community who need to hear that. We're hopefully on the path to healing, and this is a great time to move that along. And so I beg of you to do that same thing, show that appreciation. So I'm going to leave it at that, and please do as I ask. Just a small request. See here, 9.2 is superintendent.
Good evening. I, like the rest of the board, are very excited that students are back. I've got the opportunity to go to almost every campus and to see students in action, and plan to visit yesterday, forgetting it was distance learning day, but I will get caught up, and it's great to see everyone doing such a great job. I wanted to thank the community for the employee recognition that they've given. The Lake Arrowhead Noon Rotary gave every employee in the district a $10 Starbucks card. And Kathy Fitzpatrick, a community member, gave every employee some white chocolate. So thank you for those recognitions. And to all our staff for starting up again in a different instructional model. So let's see. I thought I would give some numbers to how many students are returned to the hybrid model and how many remain in distance learning. Currently, our numbers reported to the state show that 2,177 students in our district have returned to school in the hybrid model. 727 students remain in distance learning, which is about 30% of our students, for a total of 2,847 students. I just find that kind of interesting, and following trends in other districts is about right on par. Some districts are slightly higher with 40%, and some are mostly around 20%. So we're kind of in the middle. This last weekend and week, I attended the virtual National Superintendent Forum. Got many good ideas, one of which I stole, like the best teachers steal things, so do superintendents. And we started Wellness Wednesday this week. And so I'm giving, for the rest of the week, as we hit that final, rest of the school year, as we hit that final stretch, we'll be sending out just a reminder about taking care of yourself. I know that we often put ourselves last on the to-do list. And so we started off with a reminder about steps, and we'll have one, it's already scheduled up for next Wednesday morning at 8. And that was very well received. And I appreciated the thank you notes from our employees that liked that. I look forward to having a graduation on June 9th. I know the high school is currently working on which model that will be and sending out a survey, as there are very strict guidelines for in-person versus car graduation that we still have to follow. And the in-person does bring some challenges around 6 feet between all adults and same household members only attending graduation with a limit of 2. So that's our challenges with in-person graduation. And when you think about that 6-foot distancing between adults and you start to brainstorm what that could mean, that brings a lot of challenges. So I know that Ms. Burke has done a great job of trying to outline that for our families and what the difference would be. And we'll be sending out a survey, I believe, this week or next. So we've updated our safety plan this week because we are in orange. I no longer have to get approval, the 8-day approval. However, I have been still giving it to the San Bernardino County Department of Health because anything that rules that they have would supersede anything in the state. For example, a question that I've often asked is about the 3-foot distancing in classroom. Our state recommends 3-foot distancing when possible. Our county requires 3-foot distancing between students in classroom. So, and our county rules are what we have to follow as a school district. So that remains in place. I added to the safety plan the things about our Raptor self-COVID screening emails, the kiosks that were purchased for sites to check in and out of sites for contact tracing for employees. Desk shields are now optional. So it's up to teacher preference or parent preference, which announcement went out to parents today. We have some testing for our athletes as sports have returned. And in my press releases, one thing I said was that we need 50 appointments to stay up with the testing for the community. Our agency that we're working with has increased that number to 85. So this week we could not have testing at Grandview Elementary because we did not have enough staff, students, and community members make appointments. So that messaging has gone out today. And we are saying that to everyone because we have to guarantee and have 85 appointments booked or it will be canceled every Wednesday. So if you could help us out and if you're concerned about that and want that for yourself or for your family, the testing is available, but will only be available if we have 85 people sign up. Let's see, that's a lot of talking. I think that's most things I had to say. On a personal note, grandbaby number 6 was born on Monday, so we're pretty excited about that. But I do have to leave the board meeting early this evening, so for a personal matter, so Mr. Bill will be covering for me in the event that the board meeting goes longer than I have to stay. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And 9.3, student representative report. Anthony on the meeting, and yeah.
All right. You can go to the next slide. All right, this is a slide for all elementary schools, CUT, LAE, and BOE. I have a quote by Helen Keller here. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. The elementary schools opened to in-person hybrid instruction on March 22nd. The soft hum of teachers' instruction, student learning, and recess play zones have brought meaning and joy to our sites. We have all enjoyed welcoming our students and seeing their smiling eyes. Classrooms are one step closer to normal without desk shields now that we are all in orange. And a special thanks to Rotary for their gifts to all employees. And PH presentation slide, more positives happening in PH goals. LCAP goal 1, instruction/student learning/professional development. Hybrid reopening tab on our MPH website. Students and staff are adjusting well to the new hybrid schedule and are enjoying being back on campus. LCAP Goal 2, School Safety and PBIS. PBIS Tier 2 is continuing to support students with our check-in, check-out system to support students as needed. And office staff and teachers continue to contact students in need of attendance support to encourage and motivate students' attendance and progress. LCAP Goal 3, Engagement and Equity. MPH Spring Picture Days are from April 20th and 23rd through PE classes. And MPH Beautification continues. MPH custodial and security staff, along with our wonderful bus drivers, will continue with various beautification projects on Wednesday while all students are in distance learning. And this is the Eagle highlights for the Mountain High School for April. We are finishing the 5th rain period of the year on April 23rd, and we'll start our final PLC cycle where we are mentoring the kids as staff, making an extra connection to encourage them to graduate. We are currently planning on making in-person graduation on June 8th, since we will have around 20 graduates. Senior activities are also in planning stages, including Sky Park and Snow Valley offerings. We have been doing a drawing every Friday for gift cards to Subway, McDonald's, and Snow Valley based off of weekly attendance and work completion, which has encouraged better attendance and achievement. We also are putting together and developing gift bags to the homes of all of our students last month that we can make contact with, including some spirit items, treats, and a note from the staff to let them know that we care and want them to graduate. We have brought a new consultant who works mainly with continuation schools to bring about major changes in the next couple of years, and the staff is excited to add a homeroom to the next grading period as a first order change. The best part of the month by far has been having students back on campus in person, and may have a few more graduates because of it. The staff and students are bonding and credit gains are happening, and they are raving about the school food for the first time I have heard. Scholarships are being introduced to students who are encouraged to apply, while others will be decided by staff if they're continuing their education after high school. And this is additional April update. We're exploring opening a virtual academy next year that would be more of a separate site to capture all home choice in K-6 and long-term independent study students in 7th through 12th grade, including on keeping them on the site rosters, and staff/student interactions would take place on the campus of MHS. We are back at full capacity of 120 students with a teacher over ages, so we will not be accepting any more students into the program unless they are drops. Our teachers have been receiving PD from our elementary TOSA, Claire Tilson, who is now working with them on administering STAR assessments. And 95% of our families are continuing with the program for this final trimester and are overwhelmingly happy with the program. And this is the Rim High School general update. In-person instruction has been nothing less than phenomenal. Students are happy to be back on campus and are in classes with their teachers. 9th through 11th grade student award night is on May 19th. More details will become of that. On Friday, April 1st, all teachers and staff enjoyed a coffee and breakfast delivered to them by RHS administration. RHS is beginning the process of applying for A through G status on current courses that are not already A through G approved. And counseling teams are working with local organizations on getting the Wellness Center up and running to help support our students' social and emotional needs. And this is RHS update. This is more like senior activities. With the help of PTSA, the district, and the community, we have been able to, or will be offering the following for the following seniors. So we have Sky Park, April 16th, just tomorrow from 2:30 to 7. So the tickets are $20 for that. The Grad Night Universal Studios date is yet to be determined. Senior signs, they can be picked up now at the security desk. Senior sweatshirts, the orders close on April 2nd and they'll be delivering soon. The tile painting date is to be determined along with the senior awards night. And then the parking lot painting will be in May. And the Snow Valley grad photos will be on Monday, June 7th. And the sponsor senior program with the gift baskets will be during the end of May and early June. So details about both the prom and alternative night under the stars or graduation are being worked out, and parent square messages will be sent out with updates for that. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. 10.0, reports and presentations. 10.1, finance facilities, budget and enrollment report. Jim Haberlin, Chief Business Officer.
Thank you very much. Knowing we were going to have an audience, all of a sudden it's like, oh, you have to make copies. So I have a very short presentation today, but there are some copies of some handouts if anyone would like them, and in our shared folder, or you will have them as well also. So normally this board meeting, we would be talking about our P2 attendance. And because on month 8 usually is when the district certifies their funding ADA for apportionment, which in a declining enrollment like ours is our next year's funding. So normally we'd be kind of on pins and needles. What did it end up like? How far was it off from what we budgeted? And plus minus looking forward. But like Jordan said earlier, with the health harmless, we went into the year with a predetermined ADA due to the coronavirus pandemic and some adjustments that the state made, which gave us a little bit more money next year than we would have originally had. So anyway, this board meeting would have had maybe a little bit more meat to it and budget wise than we would talk about that we're going to talk about today. We are kind of in the middle of 2 reporting periods. We just wrapped up our second interim report, of course, and we've already been, you should receive a copy of a letter from the county. The county has supported our certification of a positive second interim. And we're starting the work now in May, mostly on building next year's budget and estimating our current year, how we will close the books. So right now we don't really have a lot of budget updates because we're in between the 2 periods. We would normally be talking about enrollment and attendance and what that means going forward with our budget if it was a non-COVID year. So, but we just wrapped up our month 8 of attendance, and we're sitting right now at 2. And this, of course, was a couple weeks ago we ended. So enrollment changes every day, but 2,874 students. So we have a little bit of a decline. It's about 16 from the prior attendance month, but that's really typical. We're staying, one thing that we are noticing is that we're staying within some of our trends, whether it's COVID or not, with losing a few students every month as we gear towards the end of the year. Okay. So another one handout besides our enrollment graph and numbers is we just cut and pasted from mainly the CDE, but it'll be a little bit of county resources too. And it's about a 4-page document, but it's on the allowable uses of our different pots of money we're getting in response to the coronavirus pandemic. And you'll see I put some over there. And it's just, well, when we're giving ESSER 2, ESSER 3 from the, we have the 8086 in-person instruction grants and the ELO grants, then we, well, what can we spend them on? There's a little bit of differences between the 2. A lot of common, PPE, sanitation, professional development, things to readiness us for getting open and then staying open, more addressing possible distance learning. And a lot, a major focus is on the subgroups like we talked earlier on, what maybe our students that are most in need and how are we going to address the barriers to learning or the learning loss that we might have had since full closure and not having a typical year for our students. So there'll be a lot of information on this data support, what we're spending the funds on, and really evidence-based strategies for that. So, but we're already working on that. I know there's been a lot of brainstorming going on what can we, I mean, a silver lining is we're able to use, we're getting funds we would never get as a small district like that. So between them all, and how can we leverage that also on helping the general fund, but also spending on things that we just normally would not have the money to spend on, the nature of how we're funded. Being a small, rural school district in need, but may not have the demographics that some of our neighboring districts have. So that'll be some of the work that we move forward with. We're going to have 2 reports due to you. One by June 1st to report on our plan for the AD 86 funding. And then another one probably fall or right around opening on the ESSER III. I'm being told, don't recreate, don't do extra work, one plan, tweak it a little bit and it'll be probably sufficient for the next plan. So because our spending is going to be relatively in the same direction. And our focus is going to be spend these dollars on similar activities. So anyway, that's one bit of information the county said, make sure we don't, look out, everyone's working really hard. So if you can copy from one, use it for the other one. So that was good news. So anyway, we are seeing some encouraging news on the potential 21-22 federal side of the budget. Cindy, you'll probably talk about this. So I'm just going to hit it real, just a tiny bit. The special ed component and the Title I component are the most encouraging that I see. I know we're going to be expecting about nationwide, about $2.6 billion more in funding for special ed, IDEA. And this is the president's promise that to continue funding IDEA to get to that 40%. So that was really encouraging news. The most encouraging news, and it prompted a call to Heather today, the federal government's desire to nearly triple Title I. So when we had been hearing about possible cuts to Title I, so, it's kind of that whiplash. Sometimes, depending on poverty levels and depending on, expect a, 10% cut or 15% cut to all of a sudden to, have that in the back of your mind. And we started having conversations like, well, we've made some promises with Title I, we better start really tightening the belt and make sure we're planning accordingly to possibly having, double issues. So, that's really, but that was the 2 pieces that now it's restricted funds and but it is directly for interventions for students and services for students. So those 2 on the federal side, probably as we, federal side probably have a little bit more encouragement. I'm seeing that on the state side. But that was the one thing that I was probably going, yay. And but I know Cindy, you're going to be talking about it also. So we talked about, what we'll be doing in May is preparing the budget. And we're also expecting in the governor's May revision to have some compliance around spending of dollars wrapped up in his May revision. So yes, we have those allowable uses and a lot of them are from the federal sources specifically, but the state has their share of the ESSER funds. And, with the first round of CARES Act, the state used some of their own money on behalf of districts. So that'll be interesting to see if their use of their funds, if they do the same, which we were thankful for, that on behalf of us, we got more than our allotment in some cases because the state chipped in some of their shares. So that'll be one thing that we'll look at paying attention to. And then March was a full month with, the week of March 5th, AB 86 signed into law, March 11th, the American Rescue Plan, ESSER 5, calling it ESSER 3, signed into law. And then now we won't get those funds until next fiscal year, but we can start planning, the use of those funds now. So anyway, it was just some good news on the restricted side of the budget for sure. And so some of it could soften or delay maybe a little bit of the financial burden you spoke about. Although, kind of keeping our eye on the ball is really good advice. So on what, because at one point, I think the furthest state out to spend in restricted money is 2024, where most of the, state money is 2022. So it's one time, and then we're really needing to see what can we sustain and how we move forward without the one-time dollars, unless the state starts barely funding education and increases our base dollar. So that's part of the advocacy that the board's talking about, and getting to a better base of just unrestricted dollars. We're appreciative of the restricted side. Sure, we can do a lot of good things with it, but it's the unrestricted side of the budget isn't getting a lot of help. So that would be something to still press your assembly and senators on. Okay. Any questions? And I was going to be short. I tried to be under 10 minutes, so I didn't time myself though.
I do have one question. I'm looking at the ESSERS and also based on conversations that I've heard over the past month. It has in there that the funding could be spent on something such as air conditioning, something that I also understand it becomes cost prohibitive for our school district to be looking at.
Yeah, we have, and I'll put this in my update to you tomorrow. And also we've asked Paul, who works for CPM. He's doing a lot of kind of free work for us right now. And he's actually contracted with 2 other districts that he's been able to share some information as he pulls for them. There's 2, Prop 39 will be funded again, and 8841 will also be funded with some tweaks. And those right now are for upgrades to existing systems, which we don't have existing systems in a lot of ours. It's definitely still worth entertaining trying to go for some of that money, because it can be for some other things like filters, and we do have air conditioning in some areas. But what we're finding now is some of there's systems that don't require a lot of modernization. And what we're finding, we've investigated 2 routes now. One is, I didn't bring it, I didn't know we'd be talking about it, but it's like split something. And problem is that it's a heat pump and condensing unit runs those, and they don't work well in freezing temperatures. So, it wasn't recommended, I found out today, for our district, which that was the cheapest route. And that was, we were with, maybe something around 20 to 30,000 per classroom. But right now we are getting, because of the amount of mechanical engineering that needs to be done and electrical work that would need to be done to fully install HVAC systems, we're getting rough budget estimates from Paul, okay, and we'll have it. Yeah, we were thinking about inviting him to speak as public comments today, but then might have been too rushed, because literally there was some information we just got today. Anywhere from 60 to 150,000 per classroom. So, that becomes where ESSER 2 we can spend on HVAC, but then it's $3.6 million. So then when there's a lot of other programs, how much are you going to park? I mean, it might be good to still address. There's additional air scrubbing units. There might be some type of relief. Definitely, if just for air quality, might not be air conditioning, but it would address, air quality for sure. We can look in that direction. We're not going to just stop investigating it, but we knew it was going to be expensive. That's why looking at when we were campaigning and doing research for Measure A, HVAC was on the top of everyone's list, and with a bond measure, and if you're doing other modernization projects in addition to HVAC, so that ticket price gets spread possibly in more projects than just one. If you're doing ADA upgrades, if you're doing lighting upgrades, it's not just one project. So you have $50 million. You can afford, $5-6 million, a little bit more per school. in some areas.
Jim, totally different question. What's the latest from the governor's office on the deferrals?
I don't know if the governor wants to pay down the deferrals. I'm not hearing it's his idea, but what we're hearing is that there's a lot of pressure on with improvements to the overall state economy to, as part of the May revise, is to buy down or eliminate the deferrals. And people who don't know what deferrals means, we're really getting an IOU on our state funding. So we're supposed to get monthly apportionment payments, XYZ, and we get an IOU instead. And we get the cash maybe sometimes a year later. So it makes us have to monitor cash a little bit more. And we were not in a borrowing situation, but we would have been, if he didn't eliminate the other ones, we would have been bringing resolutions to you at this board meeting to borrow cash. So we can have a budget problem, which we don't if we're the current fiscal year, or we can have a cash problem. They both can get you in trouble. So, but yes, there's going to be some maybe some pleading with the increases to Prop 98 and the economy as a whole doing better, to look at the deferrals first. So I don't know if it'll be his idea, but.
Well, I know there was still some talk from the governor's office that they weren't even going to pay back some of the deferrals. Which would really be serious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Ten point two, student learning and achievement, 10.2, K-12 English language arts, ELA report, Heather Dominguez, Director of Educational Services and teacher on special assignment.
Good evening. This evening, we're going to talk a little bit about English language arts in the district, and I'm very pleased to be joined with my TOSA team, a couple of our TOSAs, who are working on the implementation of standards and on our goal number 1, increase student learning and support professional development. I like to say teamwork makes the dream work. Together, everyone accomplishes more, and that couldn't be more true than with these folks that I'm going to have share with you this evening. It's been wonderful to have TOSAs to support our goals. And so I'm going to turn the first part over to Claire Tilson and Steve Wallace, and then I'm going to close with some information about testing.
Steve has a question. Are we allowed to give you handouts directly or? Good evening. It's nice to see you all in person. I'd like to reiterate the sentiments. It's been great being out at schools. Bill, I know enjoyed chatting as we watched some of our youngest learners come back. Huge smiles on their faces, even evident under their masks. So a lot of fun. Yes, it's a lot of fun and everything. First time I think I've seen kindergartners be welcomed with 0 cases of tears. So that's a win. Next slide, please. So we are diving into the world of ELA today, English language arts, in the elementary world, so TK5. Again, kind of like we talked about with math last time, we're really working hard, elementary, middle school, high school, to do the standards alignment with our curriculum and instruction, and then moving that forward into our assessment and reporting. So in regards to the first 2 components of that, standards alignment and curriculum and instruction, TK through 5th, we use Splash into pre-K. That's our TK curriculum, and it's a combined ELA and math curriculum. So we're taking literacy and numeracy in there. All of our other grades, kindergarten through 5th, use Journeys, which is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Think Central is the digital component for Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. So we use that. And of course, teachers are diving in and learning things this year that they never knew about Think Central before. And we're actually getting good feedback. We know some teachers who are who haven't used it and were not didn't see it as necessary when they had in-person learners, have really found value in it that they're going to retain for when students come back more and more in person. So it's one of those little silver linings. Additionally, for one of the programs we use is the Accelerated Reader Program, better known as AR for all of you parents out there. That hear that constantly, and that's through Renaissance. So that's kind of our instruction component And again, those are all standards aligned pieces. So they're all building into that vertical and horizontal alignment. All right, so moving forward to aligning that curriculum to assessment and reporting, we are continuing to build capacity and resources for our standards-based scoring to go with our new standards-based report cards at the elementary level. We are also working on continuously working on our assessment calendars at the elementary level, and I think Steve will be talking about this a little more, how we're going to feed into secondary with that. So these are our current assessment calendars. There's one per grade level, and you can feel free to take a look at that. They're revised every year. This year, you can see that they've been revised a little bit more because we've all had to be extra flexible this year. But just to give you an idea of the assessments moving forward, and I actually just had a meeting with our instructional support team, our lower grade instructional support team members today, to roll out some kind of a new assessment plan for next year for our K-1-2 students specifically. That's very developmentally appropriate and will really give teachers good formative information for their instruction. We also use our district writing benchmarks, which we've used for several years now. 3 times a year, teachers give a writing assessment, a pre and a post, in one of the 3 main genres. We do STAR assessments, again, both for reading and math, which is Renaissance-based. So you're starting to see some themes here with the programs we're using. We're trying to create consistency within our capacity. And of course, the interim assessment blocks, the IABs, which are reflective of the CASP assessment, and those start in 3rd grade, moving up. And again, this has all looked a little different this year, but we are maintaining our systems. And then, of course, curriculum-based assessments within our journeys and our splashing into pre-K. So that's it for the elementary. I'll be back in a couple minutes. So I can hand it off to Steve.
I guess I'll take this off. So I'm going to kind of, we're trying to keep things very close as we move students up the path of elementary to secondary. And I'll just say, yeah, it's been great being on its sides. It's been different. It's been good to see kids and good to see faces and teachers, and good to share some of the sad stories as well as the happy stories. So I'll say, so for English at middle school, I think we're in year 3 of the collections after we've adopted it. So it's starting to really dig in, and that's 6 through 8. So all lines 6 through 8. And the really big event this year is trying to build that assessment calendar. And what you were given by Claire is what we have to do differently at the middle school and the high school. As you know, secondary is a bit different. So last year, I built them and created the timelines and things, and that didn't go so well. So this year we really said we need some teachers to come alongside of us and build the calendar together. So that's really been the work on that side. So as we get to assessment, we'll go there. But our ERWC, I don't know if you remember what that is, but it's expository reading writing curriculum. That's going to supplement to collections. We find that the expository information gets old, right? So it's been a great supplement to our collections. And then Mountain High School has Study Sync, and Ryan's over there. He's a wizard with the tech on Study Sync. It has a great EL component. He's using it with fidelity, and Odyssey, where obviously it's something we use frequently. RHS has a little bit of their adoption for Savvis, which I found is the correct pronunciation. They are a tough year to adopt a curriculum. Savvis also has some issues with, Mr. Malone and I won't look at each other at this point, but they have some issues with, their platform just got blown up. So I know there were some challenges, and we've been still working on some student things. So anyway, just knowing the English team has got a new curriculum. They've been trying to use the digital components as well as the in-person components. And then again, they've really utilized the ERWC for several years, but with the new 3.0 version, it's improved. There's new materials coming out, and they now have individual grades 9 through 12. So we're able to not share the materials and use it. we're now able to use grade level. They have a lot of online components. So improving on that expository piece that's not in old textbooks gets old pretty fast, especially in this, fast-paced pandemic world. And again, developing pacing along with the assessment calendars. So next slide, please, Mr. Malone. Used your name probably. Okay, so assessment is the next phase. So again, really digging in on developing assessment calendars, and what we're really focusing on is the standards this year. What standards and when? Same as math. And again, alongside of when are you teaching what standards so that we can bring in the right assessment and make sure that the teachers taught what the students are going to be assessed on. And then we've thrown a lot of assessments at people this year. We are giving them a lot of options, interim assessments straight from CAS, curriculum-based assessments, again, with the middle and high school trying out their assessments. The ICAs, which are the interim comprehensive assessments, we're going to try to utilize those. And then now we're going to start extending STAR assessments into the secondary world, where we have some continuity from 1 through hopefully 11, which would be really a nice way to track students as they go along. So excited to implement that, help have data that's more than just on small cycles. We can see a student track all through our district. So I'm excited to add that, and then illuminate our data management system, I guess it is, and having assessments in there, being able to work with the data much better with all of our demographic and all that stuff. So eliminate's been another learning process alongside. We have decided with Illuminate to have a couple of superstars, one at middle school and one at high school, to help share some of the our questions and help as kind of teacher leaders to take that on, which has really been a big help for me, especially to help with our teachers as they need help with assessments. And I think that's it. I think next slide, Mr. Malone.
Okay, so really briefly, we wanted to talk about English language development for our English learners and our academics to talk about elementary school. So of course, first and foremost for English learners, our core instruction is the foundation. And it's really important, especially in their foundational years, not to be pulling them out too much of that core instruction. So as much as possible, which is ideal, because all those little ones are learning language anyways, whether they're English speakers or not. So we like to keep them in there, and they're getting a lot of English through the main instruction. In addition to that, again, you'll notice Renaissance on here. We're building our capacity within that platform. This year we adopted Myon, and we are, which we adopted, all students have access to it and can use it. It gives them access to a digital library of thousands of books. Teachers can create assignments, things like that. So we were able, Heather was able to secure funding through the county through English learner services, even though all of our students have access to it. It translates, the entire webpage can translate to families into Spanish, so they can actually get all of their reports. There's Spanish texts in there and everything. So that has been really a blessing. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to actually be eliciting some feedback from our teachers on how they use it, if they've been able to use it, and some usage reports to kind of see if it's something we can and should move forward with. Also, across the elementary world, we have GLAD, Guided Language Acquisition Design, which is a program that we have been trained in year after year. We roll out teachers. We were not able to do it this year for obvious reasons, but we're already working on planning and calendaring that for next year. The teachers who are GLAD trained, which is a majority of our elementary teachers, use the strategies from that regularly, and it's excellent. It's, again, built for English learners, but benefits all learners. It is, it teaches language in the context of science and social studies. So it's like, double your menu there. So you get more bang for your buck. And it teaches it in context, which is more valuable than teaching language in isolation, because that's not how it's used naturally. So.
Jason. Wasn't in December, there was always next. So I think one of the things that I was meeting with both the middle school and high school EL coordinators today, just to make sure I was saying they weren't ready to deal with that they were going to back it up. But there's a big concern coming out of this pandemic for English learners. I've had a lot of work with English learners, and I think probably one of the most affected groups. So I think as we feel like we haven't accomplished a lot on the, student side, our focus really shifted to looking at the teacher side as what we're going to do going forward. And one of the major focuses this year was to get our English learner coordinators to build teams so that we're not going to just expect an EL coordinator to manage the infinite amount of, challenges that it has. So we're really trying to work at the middle school and the high school to build teams that have representation from all the core classes so that we can push out that work much more efficiently as opposed to just one person kind of dragging these kids through the finish line. So that's really just kind of the work that we've been doing. And Reed as a middle school, even though he's a rookie, we had to help him there, but he's helping to build a team because we don't have any coordinators. He had to step in. So, and Matt Coughlin, as we've tried that for a couple of years. This year was difficult, but again, that's the focus to when we come back, that we have consistent meetings with teams so that all teachers are taking the responsibility of English learners and not just saying, well, can handle that, or it's all of our responsibility. So that's where I feel like we've made some progress in a kind of bad situation where students are struggling, but we are ready to, I think, grab them when they come back and try to get things going. So just to give you the curriculum, I know MPH has worked with Fast Forward and still trying to figure out what program's best there. And we also have collections. One of the reasons we adopted it was a strong EL component in that program. So we're trying to dig into the resources we already have. And I think that's just better management in general. We have good things, we just have to be trained on and use them. So worked on that. And then Matt Coughlin's been using English 3D. And then this year, I think thanks to Mr. Swim, he's using my side learning, which I think is actually Fast Forward. And he's using some digital components through that because English 3D is not that effective in digital. So just hang in there with us as we try to regroup for our English learners next year and see how we can get things going. So other than that, I think I'm going to give it back to us. Do you have any questions for us before we get to this?
Fast forward. Fast forward. Are we going to continue with that? Because Mr. Coughlin liked it, but this year was tricky, so he wants to fully invest in it next year. So
that I just had the conversation with him today, and it was his first year using it, so I don't know. I think that's going to be a Ms. Burke and Matt conversation. I'm happy to help, but yeah, he seemed to really like the program. I don't know as far as cost and all those things, but English 3D is a really strong program. It's really, really dense. The students tend to get really burned out. I'm just going to say from experience, because it's just layer and layer, and it's strong, but it so I think Matt probably needs some supplements to that, and especially with digital. We now know we have digital components to the world that we're in now. So yeah, I'll have a conversation and see what he wants to do. All right. Anyone else? This means has more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Stephen Claire.
So I wanted to bring you up to speed in terms of where we are in standardized assessment world. There's been a lot going on over spring break and the last few days in terms of guidance coming out from the CDE. So I've navigated the waters of reading through much of the guidance, and I will tell you it is a little bit wonky, maybe is the best word to use. You read one sentence and go, oh, okay, and then you read the next sentence and go, oh, wait, that sounds different than what I just read. So it was a little bit tricky to navigate, but I feel pretty confident after speaking with the district, reading through the guidance, and where we've landed. So I want to share with you what the plan is moving forward. So the first slide is just some verbiage from the guidance. And as we look at the ability to provide alternate assessments to CAS, there were some considerations that had to be made. Those considerations were that the assessments that we would select that were outside of CAS would have to be aligned with the California Common Core standards for ELA and mathematics. They had to be available to assess students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11. They had to uniformly be administered across a grade span, school, or district. And they had to provide results that can be reported to parents, guardians, educators about individual students and to the public by school and by district, and are disaggregated by student groups. So as long as an alternate assessment met those criteria components, we could use it instead of CASP. Next slide. So one of the things that the state has said is that given that California is a large state with over 2,000 distinct LEAs, they anticipate that some of the considerations for viability of the assessments that they give would be the things listed below. So as we considered the viability of giving an assessment and the appropriateness of it, these are the things that we were to consider, the bullets that you see here. They also wanted us to consider ensuring that we had enough time for reopening schools to students and to returning them to campuses, and that what we used would help adjust and mitigate learning. We wanted to make sure that we were looking at issues such as trauma and supporting the social emotional needs of our students. So we felt very strongly that we did not want to welcome kids back in April and go, here you go, take a CASP test. We just didn't feel like that was going to be beneficial to anybody. So what we are proposing at this point is on the next slide. The LPAC is not an option. The LPAC has not been waived and must be administered, and the expectation is that we will test 100% of our students. So that is what I had a meeting before coming here with our EL coordinators, and we are making tremendous progress. I have to say our EL team needs to be commended. Veronica Pelayo is a little testing machine. Our EL aides at the sites have been amazing. They're calling students, calling parents, getting them to come in person. Really, very commendable. We're here not even in May, and we're almost done at many of our sites. So I'm very excited about that and proud of my team. What we're looking at for our elementary, you heard Claire speak of Renaissance and STAR assessments. So STAR is something we have been consistently giving and that teachers use regularly to look at our students' progress. And it is an assessment that meets the alternative criteria established by the CBE. So we're going to continue doing STAR as we've been doing, and we will utilize those results, and that will be instead of CASP, we will be administering that for grades 3 through 5. We also give it to grades 1 and 2, which we will continue to do as well. And that will give us some baseline data at the beginning of next school year. We also administer STAR at the beginning of the school year, so we'll have their end of this year results as well as their beginning of the year results, and that's both in math and language arts. Now, as you heard Mr. Wallace speak of, we're not quite there at the secondary level in terms of sustainable system in our assessment components. So we will be administering CASP at grades 6 through 8 and grade 11, and we are going to make a good attempt to also get the ICAs at grades 9 and 10, which is something we've actually been talking about for the last couple of years. In our LCAP stakeholder meetings, our students have often indicated that they feel like they're at disadvantage because they don't have the practice on the assessment when they take it in 11th grade. And so the ICA is mirroring the CASP they take in 11th. So if they take it in 9th and 10th, that gives us data and information about how they're progressing towards success on that assessment, but it's in a low stakes environment. So it gives them some practice in rehearsal as well. So that's the plan for this year. The CAST, which is the California Science Test, we are not going to be giving because we don't believe that the students have been adequately prepared to really take that assessment. We're going to be testing the month of May. We felt like that gave our students enough time to be able to come back, get settled in, meet their teacher, be with their friends without having to throw an assessment on them as soon as they arrive. So it's a little bit of a crunch in terms of getting it done in a month. They have extended the testing window to go up through the end of July, but we really do not want to be testing our kids in the summer. So we said it's bought us about 9 days. course, June is not the best time to be testing either when kids are, they're winding down, they're ready to graduate, they're ready to get, be on their way for summer. So that's the plan at this point. I'll be sending out notification to our teachers tomorrow. And then I'll be composing a letter to go out to our parents and families, letting them know of what our assessment plan is.
How will students who are doing distance learning be proctored, or how will that be managed?
So we sort of are looking at it from a tiered approach because remote administration can be done, not ideal. So our first preference is we're going to test as many kids as possible in person. We recognize that we won't be able to do that with everybody. So we will, in fact, I had a meeting today, another one before coming here, with the coordinators, the testing coordinators from MPH and RHS. And they're developing a schedule to test as many as possible in person, but then we are looking at using Wednesdays for independent study and distance learning students to be tested. We have 4 Wednesdays that we can do that, and it's going to be a team approach so that we can test them remotely the best that we can. I'm on webinars weekly on testing, and there's lots of stories out there about things that can and will go wrong with distance learning assessment, but we'll do the best we can.
Are home choice students then going to be involved in that as well?
Home choice students are going to be tested by their home choice teachers. Well, no, actually, our home choice students are all 3 through 5. So only our 6th grade students would need to be tested. The others are going to be doing STAR, which our home choice teachers are already doing. Any other questions?
Just, Heather, is STAR showing us learning deficiencies already since you've been doing it in every quarter?
In terms of where, to be honest with you, I have not looked at the data in that way at this point. But that is something we'll be looking at, at the end of the year, if we're seeing huge gaps. Yeah. Our sites could probably answer that better than I could. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather, Claire, and Steve. 10.3, ROP CTE Pathways in College and Career Report. Heather Dominguez or Stephanie Phillips?
Yes, I will defer to the expert.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Hi, Stephanie.
We're gonna hand out the brochures here and you can take one and pass it around. Program. Right. Take this off.
Can you press the button?
Press the button on mine? I don't think I learned how to do that. I don't know technology.
Do I hold it down?
No, it's easy. Hold, I'm making Mark's little green thing. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so I have to share with you that I look forward to this April board meeting each year because I get to stand up here and share this wonderful, amazing world of CTE that I am blessed to live in. I've been a part of it here at Room High School for 28 years and seen it go from a very small so-so program to what it is today. And here we go. Ready for the ride? Okay. So go ahead, Mark. To start out, some of the stuff you might see in here, a few things were in the program last year as well, but we have a new board member that I'm excited to share with, and maybe some people in the audience that haven't seen this yet. This is a 2.5-minute video, and I feel it sums up CTE and the meaning and the purpose behind it really well.
Everyone wants kids to be ready to take on the real world, right? So what's the secret? Say hello to CTE. CTE is Career Technical Education. Maybe you've never heard of it, but CTE gives learners an academic foundation along with technical skills and hands-on experience in a whole bunch of different areas to help them get ready for the real world. Think of CTE as a high school experience, but with even more value because it fills a big gap for a lot of students. In fact, CTE learners and their parents are 3 times as likely to say they're very satisfied with the ability to learn real-world skills as part of their education as compared to non-CTE learners and their parents. And since over 75% of CTE learners enroll in post-secondary education after high school, CTE is definitely creating a path to college and career success. And get this, they have a graduation rate over 10% higher than non-CTE students. Did you know 89% of parents think students should receive more education about career choices while in high school? That's where CTE comes in. Think about it. Is it better to experiment with career choices when you're paying money to do so in college? Or should it happen in high school so students know a lot earlier whether a career option is the right fit? The answer is fairly obvious, don't you think? Now let's talk about why CTE is good for business and industry. It's pretty simple. Companies want skilled employees, and they're having a hard time finding them, which can cost the company money in lost productivity. Enter CTE. 6 of the 10 hardest to fill positions are in technical fields or require a CTE background. In fact, about half of all CTE learners are enrolled in programs in leading fields such as healthcare, STEM, and information technology, matching employer needs with student passions. CTE programs directly connect learners in high school and post-secondary with employers through internships, apprenticeships, and other meaningful on-the-job experiences. When it comes to CTE, more than twice as many CTE parents report being satisfied with internship opportunities. That means a lot of doors are being opened for kids. So here's the bottom line. Parents want their kids to find a career they can be passionate about. Kids want the same thing. And when you think about the real world, what could be better than having learners enter a field they know is right for them with a ton of hands-on experience? It's all possible thanks to CTE. CTE, learning that works for America. To learn more, visit careertech.org.
Thank you, Mark.
Everyone.
So the next slide here is the brochure, the inside of the brochure that you have. This is a list of our CTE courses by pathways. And the pathways are listed under the industry sector. So this first one here in the top left column is the industry sector is arts, media, and entertainment. And the courses under there are by pathway. The first one, graphic design 1 and 2. These are pathways, so they're 2-year courses to make a pathway. So in order for it to have a CTE pathway, you need a minimum of 300 hours and the coursework. Graphic design, you can see, is A through G elective, both of those. Under that is TV video production, and the art of TV video production, again, 2-year pathway. Art of TV video production is A through G. Under that is media arts, 1 and 2, 1 being, 1 year, 2 being the second year, again, A through G. And then the next industry sector is building and construction trades, which is our woodworking occupations. Under that is our medical core, 1 and 2. Those are A through G. Under that is our hospitality and tourism, which is customer service. That one is not a pathway. Right now, that is just a single-year course where our students learn soft skills, customer service skills, how to run our student store, and those kind of things. Under that, we have our manufacturing industry with our welding technology 1 and 2. Up in the far right corner, industry sector is public service, criminal justice 1 and criminal justice 2. Actually, that course will be going away next year because right now it's always just been 2 periods a day. And it's really difficult to find an instructor for just 2 periods a day. We've had 2 that we hired since our long-term one retired, and both of them have moved on to other things. And actually, I've been covering that. So, which has been a lot of fun working with the students again. Anyways, so that one won't be here next year. And declining enrollment, it helps put students back into other courses on campus. Emergency medical responder is part of the fire technology pathway. And then the last one is automotive transportation. There are some on here that are not A through G, and we are working with county RP to get all of these A through G. And then you can see on the left side over there, they're listed. Okay, next slide, thank you. Again, the CTE pathway is a sequence of 2 or more CTE courses, 300 hours minimum, and it leads to high school classes to career industry certifications in college. Next slide. Also, the CTE pathway completion, the completion of a pathway A CT pathway is part of our college and career indicator for the college and career readiness. And along with our agency courses, it's also part of that. Next slide. In our CTE classes, and actually if you look at the brochure, it says ROP/CTE. ROP means Regional Occupational Program. We are a regional occupational program. We have stayed with the county ROP as a consortium because that helps with receiving grants. As a single district, it's really difficult to get the grants, and I'll share with you later in this about the grants we're receiving. So we are ROP program teaching CTE courses. In our CTE courses, there's a lot of college and career exploration in the classroom through software, through hands-on, through actual working. We have medical software. The C-Space technology is used in medical schools and in hospitals. It's all the military and some automotive programs use that to build cars. So a lot of career exploration, a lot of hands-on. One of the pictures in here is a couple of our students who created their own business here and started making their design and putting on the skateboards in the business right here in our print shop. Okay, next slide. Being that we have a lot of hands-on work in class and how do you do this with COVID? How do you do this with distance learning and virtual learning? And many have asked that. So I'll share a couple of examples of that. Next slide, please. Our teachers have been very creative and dedicated in keeping teaching and learning at the high quality that CT is supposed to be by sticking with our, maintaining our standards and finding interactive, collaborative resources through software and all that can be integrated with their teaching and learning that keep students engaged. So interactive lessons with collaborative, engaging activities, virtual reality, simulations, gamified quizzes. Next slide, please. Another example, there's a lot of other stuff that teachers have come up with and have found and worked so hard to keep the program going. I'm just giving a couple of examples. Next slide, please. Study.com is another one, a great one to use with the teachers' lessons and interaction. Virtual Job Shadow, a great one. The district is paying for this one. This is a great resource in learning about careers. You guys have probably heard a lot about Virtual Job Shadow already. This is a great program. This is Real DX. This is real patient case videos from emergency medical services out in the field and in emergency rooms. These are real patients, videos of real patients being injured, picked up off the street in the hospital rooms, and these patients have given permission to be a part of this software. So the students watch these cases and learn the diagnosis and the treatment and all that through this software. Visible Body. This is a great one also. Students have access to this. This is all free software, or Visible Body is one that we paid for, and the students have access to this on their devices. So students have been able to access all of this on their own devices, their Chromebooks, or whatever device it is they have, so they can use this at any time that they want. This is an amazing program, just like a Z-Space technology. Our television and video production teacher is using the V-Video. It's an online-based video editing platform to supplement access to editing software. It's free for students. And with distance learning, this is a great tool. TV video production also, our teacher was like, hey, let's get these students doing some real world stuff while they're sitting at home, learning from home. And so he was teaching them guerrilla style filmmaking, which is students using their own smartphones and whatever they have around the household to make their videos and their clips and put it all together. He also put a great emphasis on film theory and pre-production. And in our media arts and graphic design class, they found the different software, the Gravit and the Phototalks, that is a supplement to or in place of Adobe programs, which is what we have on our computers here. How do you do virtual learning in AutoShop? Okay, so our AutoShop teacher has been here over 20 years, and he came from industry. Amazing things that they do in the shop. So this was difficult, but we found a lot of great how-to videos, online educational videos. So he would show the videos, the students would watch the videos, they would do quizzes on them. And after the videos, then he would do live Zoom shop lessons on shop procedures and diagnosis. So the students got to see it on the video, hear about it, and then watch the teacher do it. Okay, so each year, our auto program, when Mr. McGuire started here 20 years ago, he's like, I'm gonna build a race car. So our auto shop built a race car. It was a 5-year project. So the students in auto shop took 5 years and they built this race car. We compete each year. It's a 71 Camaro, call it our project car. We compete each year in the PSCA and NHRA races, and we have championship titles. We take our advanced students and they work as the pit crew. It's amazing to see these high school students in the field, in the pits with the professionals, and the professionals are all just amazed and love to interact with our high school students. And they got their shirts, they're black from here down, and up here they're blue, and it says rim across the back, and it's so impressive to see them out there. Well, we still wanted to do the race this year, but we knew we couldn't take students. So Mr. McGuire said, hey, can I go do the race and we live stream it? I was like, oh my gosh, what a great idea. So November 19th and 20th, he got in our big toter home with the race car and all that, and he drove to Vegas. So that Thursday and Friday, I covered his classes. Go ahead, Mark. And we had purchased a GoPro and a mount. So we mounted the iPad and the GoPro in the, right here, this view is in the golf cart. That black trailer and toter home you see there, we purchased that several years back. That was through donor money, through our donor money. That was a $90,000 purchase. Our teacher drove to Kansas to get it. When we pull into the races in that, we actually had to put a disclaimer on the side of the toter home part that says purchased by donation funds, because the people there were like, you're a high school, public high school, how can you afford this? This is where our money is going? No, this is donation money. This is for people who believe in the program. It's an amazing, beautiful vehicle. If you ever seen it parked up back here, it's just this. And then inside the trailer, there's a sleeper and the golf cart and all the tools and a shop room to work in. So this view is inside the golf cart. So the first day, now we're in the golf cart and Mr. McGuire's driving around the pits. He showed us the track, he showed us the stands, he showed us all this stuff. And he's stopping and he's talking to the racers and the people. And he's like, this is my classroom. The people there were like, this is your high school? The amount of people that were talking to the students, you could see the students' little faces across the top. They were just in awe of it. So it's like, this is so cool. It's like we were actually there. We were driving around the golf cart, the bumps and this and that. Then next slide, please. This is inside the golf cart looking at the race car. Now this is him taking the top off. This is Mr. Guide on the left and a friend of his who was a police officer up here and goes with us to the races. So they were taking it off and showing the students from this view. Okay, Mark. Now this is inside from the iPad talking to Mr. McGuire, and he's telling the students about what's going to happen, where we're going to go, what we're going to do. Go ahead, Mark. This is from inside the race car. Now we're inside the race car, and he drove us around inside the race car. We were just we were loving this. Then we get to the front. We were in line waiting our turn. Got our turn, got up there, and then boom, down the raceway we went. 100 and some miles an hour. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I was really like excited about this. And I told Mr. McGuire, okay, you know you do this every year with the 4 or 5 or 6 students you take, but we're going to incorporate this every year too. Because this way, the kids in class get to see this and experience this. I mean, I was in awe of it. We had a guest with us when we did this. Mary Justine heard that we were going to be doing this. So she said, can we come and watch? Go ahead, Mark. We said, absolutely. So Mary Justine was our guest. And then from that, she put an article in the Alpine Mountaineer about it. Anyways, so that was a really awesome virtual field trip. Go ahead, Mark. And this is a picture of our race car with our pit crew years ago and again, we participate in NHRA, PSCA every year and hold champion titles. Okay, wood shop, welding shop. What do you do in wood shop and welding shop? Well, we covered a lot of safety on every tool and every machine through videos. And with wood shop, with woodworking, we did a lot of videos on framing, how to build a house. And so there was a lot of videos and discussions. And what was good and what came from this was the students got to see that this is on the internet. These are videos that they can access at any time and watch at any time that they're, want to watch something. And the same, this also, Mr. Farrar, a wood shop teacher, he did the same thing he showed the video on the twice turned bowl. So he would show a video of a project and then he would make the project. Those other pictures are what he's doing in the shop. So they would set their computers up so the students can actually watch them make these projects. And the same with welding. Go ahead, Mark. We used a lot of videos, learning videos, how to do different kinds of welds. And then we were building, Mr. Ferraro was building a 5-gallon base for a 5-gallon fish tank that's going in one of our science classrooms. So as he built that and did all the measurements and all that, the students got to watch him do that each day.
I do want to say that if you enter if you enter the school, you will see a couple of new display cabinets that are made of steel. Well, the welding students made those. So they're really cool. They really came out well.
Yes, and if you go to if you've been to VOE and you walk into their garden and they have that metal arch going in there, that was made in our welding shop as well. One of the things we do in our program is, and it's part of all the grants that we get, is to take our kids on field trips. Unfortunately, we were not able to do this this school year, but every year we take our students to Cal State Fullerton. We have our special people down there that we work with that show our students, where you can go from Cal State Fullerton, to Disney and everywhere else you can go. We have a great partnership with Garner Hope Productions. Great field trip to take our students to. Students heard from the professionals about the importance of creativity, innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. They witnessed the importance to be college and career ready in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And when we were down there, we saw that we had 4 RIM graduates working there. And then they hosted Garner Hope Production last December, this December that just passed, hosted a dinner and collaboration meeting for our RLP program. So our RLP teachers and myself, along with Jason Jackson and Christine Miller from MPH, went to this dinner and this meeting and collaborated on some really interesting stuff I'm going to share with you in here. So we have a great partnership going with Garner and Holt. Also, with our racing program, we take our students twice a year to the NHRA Youth and Education Services Program. Students learn how STEM is applied to both the real world situations and NHRA drag racing. And they learn about other careers, advertisement and the military's there. Every year, we take our students to the Manufacturing Day Expo at the Intech Center in Fontana. A great field trip for the students. We didn't get to do that one this year either, but when it comes up next year, we'll be going back there. Our RIM Reporter program, RIM Reporters Pathway, is part of our TV video production where we work with MPH in the elementary schools, and our students go out and train the students at those schools. We haven't been able to start that back up yet, but we're looking forward to that next year. Along with our fire prevention and safety assemblies that our fire technology and EMR students do at the elementary schools. We have a great partnership with Mountains Community Hospital. They're partnered with us on a lot of things. We take our students there every year on field trips and even trainings. They have trainings that come up that they do for their nurses and the community, and we take our students there. Last one we did was on brain injuries, and very interesting. That's another picture of Mountains Community Hospital. We took our students to Pathway to Success. That didn't get to happen this February, but we look forward to it next February. And Room Today. Room Today is program, TV video program that our school has been doing we're in our 20th season. So if you go to roomtoday.tv, you can see every episode back to the very first year. Our corner store, a great resource for our customer service students to go into. They're in there right now, getting ready to open it next Monday. Our college and career fair, we have this every September. Last September, we had, this September, the school, you had to cancel it. We're already looking at dates for September because we know we're going to be able to do it. And the representatives, several of them are calling, are you doing it again? Are you doing it again? Yep, we'll get back to you as soon as we have the date. The last one we had over 50 representatives from a variety of different colleges, trade schools, business and industry. So we're looking forward to the next one. And as soon as we get that date, I'll share that with you. This is our data, and I don't think you'll be able to see it. This data, being a part of the RP consortium, this data is collected every year, and it has been for many, many years. Is our data on our completion, placement, and graduation rate. The one on the left is last year, and the one on the right is the year prior to that, and I put them both up there, and of course on my computer it was bigger. I'd known it would be this big, then I would have brought copies. But our completion rate, well, let me go, our completion rate, year before last, completion rate is course completion rate. A student, in order for a student to be a completer, they have to earn a grade of C- or better and complete 50% of the competencies. For the course, these are just the year courses, each course being a year. So we had 93% completion rate, 100% graduation rate, and 96% placement rate. That means 6 months out after school, we're calling the students and say, hey, what are you doing? You know, are you going to school? Are you working? Are you in the military? And so that data is on there as well. That year we had 609 students, 18 courses, and 99,000 hours. Last school year, we thought, how is our data going to be? Because come March, a lot of students just said, I'm not doing anything more. So our completion rate did drop. It dropped down to 89%. Our graduation rate stayed at 100%, and our placement rate last year, this is the first year that the placement rate was by pathway completion, not course completion. Again, a pathway completer is a student completing 2 years of the pathway. It's something that we have been folding into our master schedule. So trying to get a student to complete 2 years of pathway is kind of difficult in high school with other requirements that they have to fit in their schedule. And being that we're a small high school, we have a lot of singletons. So if a student's like, oh, but I need to take this AP class and now I can't take second year medical or two, you know. So that's a challenge we have. And we're not the only high school. There's many high schools that are facing that challenge. Okay, this is where it kind of gets fun too. So CTE grants. There are CTE grants that we write every year for money, for funding. The first one is our Carl Perkins grant. That is federal funding, and that is to strengthen your CTE programs. The second grant is the CTIG grant, and that is state funding. That one is to help maintain your CTE program. And the K-12 Strong Workforce Program, that is state funding, and that is to expand and enhance your CTE program. The CTIG and the K-12 are funds that used to go to ROPs. And then once the funding formula switched to LCFF, all that money was thrown into the same pot and then distributed out to districts. It used to go to County Office of Education and then districts. So being a small district, we were a loser in that game. So now we have these funds, but we have to write grants for them, so they're competitive now. Go ahead, Mark. So Carl Perkins, this year our funding was $39,000. And what are we spending it on this year? BE publishing software, business and education publishing software, which we use in our customer service. And it's a great one to have for our other courses who want to use it. And we have that for the whole school site. I bought a site license so the whole school can use it. We're updating the equipment in the graphic design class and print shop. We got a new washout booth and a 25-inch wide format printer and supplies. We got new equipment for the welding shop. We are purchasing a cutting-edge new fiber welder machine. And I have to get closer to this because to see what my notes are on this. So the cutting-edge technology, this new fiber welding machine, it's 4 times faster than a tooth welder. It welds dissimilar metals. It welds copper and aluminum together. And regardless of the thickness. And the heat, very, very low heat. So you're welding and you're not experiencing a lot of heat. It's cutting edge technology and it's new. So we purchased that. We purchased a new bicycle making machine, Sputnik jig frame fixture. It's accurate and easy to use. The geometry of bicycle frame can be set in minutes. So you can see when you look at this machine. Oh,
So you can be on the microphone too.
thank you. I have mine
It's an
here.
ally in the slide.
Okay, so the geometry in building these bikes is amazing, and you would love it, Jordan. I have to share it with you. So you look at the pictures on it, it's, check out all the angles, and so students are going to design and build bicycles and be learning geometry at the same time. Go ahead, Mark.
Slide. 2 fingers.
That's okay. I have an encyclopedia. Okay. So CTIC. Okay, so CTIC incentive grant. This is to help maintain your CTE program. So we can use this money for salaries. And this is what we're using this money for, is for salaries, ROP salaries. Because that used to be part of the funding that we used to receive. So this current year, we have $184,000 that we're putting towards ROP salaries. Next year, I just got this in the email 2 days ago. Originally, it was $231,000 that we're getting for next year, but I got a really cool email the other day, and it's been increased to $314,000 for RP salaries for next year. Yeah. Okay. K-12 Strong Workforce Program. That's our next grant. And it's going to be difficult for you guys to see. Okay, we write for this. I write for this each year. Up here in the top is round 1. This one so we have round 1, year 1, year 2, year 3. So each year is its own billing and invoicing and purchasing and all that each year. A lot of documentation, a lot of record keeping, a lot of headaches, because you have to write what you, and then when we wrote round 1, we were round 1 and round 2, we were able to include salaries. In round 3, they said, no, you can't include salaries. So we had to go in and fix that. Anyways, round 1, you can't see it up there. $335,000. And it started last year and it goes through December of 21. Round 2, right there. I need my glasses. What is it, Mark?
558, 575.
$558,000, 575. And round 3 is $462,395 for a grand total down there of $1,355,983. And now we're getting ready to write for round 4. So this is money to expand and enhance your programs. You have to have a plan, you have to write the plan, and you have to purchase to the plan. This is through the Community College Chancellor's Office. So, we, in staying with County ROP and the consortium, we're able to, as this consortium, and you can see on the slide prior to this one, the others in the consortium, which is Bear Valley, Excelsior Charter, Morongo, Unified Public Service Academy, Rim of the World, and then San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. Okay. So, and what are we writing for? What are we doing with this money? It's like, wow, what are we doing with this money? So we're updating our shop equipment. We're buying new technology, the most current technology with our welders and with our medical class. Go ahead, Mark. And we have started a healthcare and emergency services training center. We're taking a portable out back that was empty, right across from our medical core class. Something I should mention too about ROP teachers, they teach more than one subject. Auto teaches all auto. Our teacher that teaches medical core also teaches EMR and fire technology. Our teacher that teaches TV video production also teaches media arts. And now we're looking and going to start game design. Because we have so many interested in that and keep asking about it. And some of our media arts and TV video production are kind of like, they're not going up. So we're looking, we're going to advertise our game design class, which fits right in with that. Which teacher teaches wood and welding? So this healthcare and emergency services training center, it's an affordable. Half of it's going to be an ambulance simulator, and the other half is going to be an emergency room. And the partners that when we talk to about this, Mountains Community Hospital, they've been in the portable with us. We've already had meetings. We have Loma Linda Hospital, Ben Clark Training Center, Moreno Valley College. We went there to look at their ambulance simulator. And when you're talking to people about what we're doing, they're like, we want to be a part of this. We want to be a part of this. So our students are going to learn and train here, and all these partners are going to come in and work with us. And our students will, they'll get articulated credit from doing the program here, and then they take that to Moreno Valley College or Crafton Hills College and have credit that they start with already down there.
Cool.
Garner Holt Productions is a partner in this. Our emergency personnel, doctors and nurses that they all want to be involved with this. This is so cool. Go ahead, Mark. So this is a picture of the ambulance simulator that was down at Ben Clark Training Center. And so we just went down there, Brian Leiter, the teacher, and I, we met with them down there, saw their program down there, and they have it for emergency site and the public service law enforcement site. Like, this is a field trip we'll be going on. This is where we'll take our students on field trips. I don't know if you can see it, but back there in the corner of that ambulance is a dummy, little mannequin. And it's in there. So looking at these mannequins, I'm kind of like, oh my God, we need one of these mannequins too. Go ahead. So, and the other half of that portable is going to be a hospital room with all the hospital equipment. When we had Mountains Community come here, we met in there. We are working with their purchasing, Wes, is that his name? I have so many names in here. Okay, we're working with their purchasing department to purchase what we're going to purchase and get their price. And like I said, one of the things we have to purchase is a mannequin. And I'm looking at these mannequins and I'm looking at them online. And I'm going, God, these things are ugly and these are plastic. And when we were at Garner and Holt that night in December, I was talking to him about it and I said, explaining this, what we're putting together. And I said, these mannequins are so gross and just not fun to look at. They're scary. But I got to purchase one. They're like $100,000. They got a big grin on the face because the gentlemen we were with down there are the educational people of Garner and Holt. And do you guys know Garner and Holt? What it is? Animatronics. They did the animatronics for Disney. Garner he started this, he's growing up in San Bernardino. Anyways, they're getting into all kinds of stuff. They get this big grin on their face and they said, wow, I'm glad you're here. I said, why? They said, we are looking to get into building medical equipment. This is something we want to build. And I said, okay, what are we going to build? We are going to build a animatronic medical simulator mannequin. We're talking about a mannequin that will breathe, that the teacher can manipulate from an iPad or a device. So when the students are working on it, we can have it do different things. That we can change the face and the skin and the hair to look like different patients. We were even, and this is new, this is cutting edge technology. There's not one like this. They said, you're going to be the first person with this. It's like, oh my God, we're going to put Room High School on the map. But it's so exciting. They are excited as we are excited. Right now, they're working with the doctors and nurses at Loma Linda on, okay, what do we include with this? How are we going to do this? So this is in the works. This is in the K-12 grant. We have about $125,000 in there right now for this medical mannequin. So we're going to see where this goes and how this happens. Tuesday, day before yesterday, our ambulance simulator and all the equipment that we ordered with it is supposed to be here. The ambulance simulator, the big piece, they bring it here. It's back in Michigan being built with our school logo and all that on it. They build it, they bring it out here, they put it together in our portable. But with that is the supplies and the other stuff that goes with it. So we get FedExes here the other day. It's foggy as heck, and we need to take them out back. So I travel them out back, and it's like, okay, this is from Dial Medical. That's where we purchased our ambulance simulator from. Oh, what is it? We open the box, there's a gurney. So right away, here's the gurney coming out of the box. Here's Mr. Wagner already showing the students how to put it up, put it down, put it up, put it down. Anyway, so it's exciting. But that's it. I'm out of breath. So the simulator is supposed to be here. I'll watch the cord. Remember that, Jenny? That's a joke.
Yeah.
So the last email I received from them, and I said, okay, where are we at with this? And they said, okay, well, we're looking at June 14th for it to be here. So, and then we haven't started ordering much from the hospital purchasing department yet, because we're getting the old tables taken out of that portable, painting the walls, and then start putting the stuff in it. So through the summer and hopefully into a couple months into school next year, we have it up and running. This will be a training center where doctors, nurses, fire personnel will come here with our students and work and train. And the other schools, they call it training center, want to come up, Grafton wants to come up, they all want to see our training center.
Very good.
So exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this I can't imagine how much work you've put into bringing this all together, and this is phenomenal.
It's exciting. You see my passion and excitement for it. And I want to put Rim High School on the map. I want people to say, I want to go to that school. I want to go to that training center. Thanks, you guys.
It's interesting that we took that trip up to Porterville,
Yes.
and we saw their ER, so to speak. They didn't have an ambulance though, so I'm super excited.
Yeah.
That we're moving in that kind of exciting direction.
All right.
Okay, 10.4, setting direction, 10.4, legislative update report, trustee Gardner.
Okay, so unfortunately tonight, it's like I have actually some things a lot of things. So SANDAS, again, is the San Bernardino County Advocates for Better Schools. It's the education legislative committee for the county, headed by our county superintendent, Ted Alejandre. And it's made up of school board members and superintendents. And it's such a pleasure to work with so many of our fellow school districts in San Bernardino County. So we meet once a month. We Capital Advisors Group is the lobbyist, so to speak. They represent our interests up on Capitol in Sacramento. They also work with us on the federal level as well. So with some of the bills, I already sent these out to our board, but I wanted to say that SB 328, the late start bill, we're so excited that the version 2021 that went before the Senate on April 7th contained the definition for rural. And because one of the three definitions, if 50% of your schools are designated rural under the federal E-rate program, then you will be designated as rural for SB 328. All of our schools are designated as rural. So we are going to be permanently exempt from implementing the provisions of SB 328, the late start bill. If you don't know what that means, it meant that high schools could not start earlier than 8:30 in the morning and middle schools could not start earlier than 8 a.m. And in our Jenny and Jen Kaywell, we really hashed this out. Jenny and Jen Kaywell came up with, I think, 14 versions, 14 options of how transportation and start times could look. None of them were good options. And in order to honor the start times that we have now, we would have been insolvent. We would have gone bankrupt to try to implement the provisions. So this is a huge, huge victory for us. So really excited. It's not the fact that we would love high school to start later, but the negative impacts in totality just were too much to overcome. So we're really excited about that. However, we do have school districts like Yucaipa, Cala Mesa has only two schools designated as E-rate. They don't qualify as rural. The really heartbreaking one is Victor Valley. They have something like 3,400 square miles, and they rely on their busing just as much as we do. And they have kids in very remote areas. And unfortunately, they don't qualify. So the work is not done. We're trying to get to some movement in broadening the definition and the exemption. So board us, if you go out there, say that it's still not good enough. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really, really grateful of all the work that we did on this, because this was a big, huge black cloud coming in on the horizon. This bill does go in effect in the 2022-23 school year. When I sent this out to you guys, I forgot to put in that AB 312, Santabs did a support. That's teacher credentialing. And the CBEST, they have to take the CBEST. Well, this bill would say, in order to open up the pool of substitutes and teacher credentialing, there's alternative methods for meeting the requirement. That's through coursework, getting a B in coursework, the SAT in English and mathematics, or the SAT, or the California State Early Assessment Program. So this is really a great barrier that's been dropped, or hopefully will be dropped, hopefully if it all passes, because this will enlarge the pool that we can capture. We know that sometimes it's a struggle to pass the CBEST because of test anxiety or whatever. So this is exciting. This is really exciting. Every school district is really excited about this. AB 75, Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell, this is his school facilities bond. Again, really trying to push it through. It failed last year, so it's back in the mix. There are a lot of mental health bills that are kind of coming into being. What we want to be careful, there's one that is SB 25 by Senator Shannon. What we're realizing is that some of these bills don't have a lot of details, and we want to make sure that if a bill like this creates policy and tells us what to do for mental health, you will do this and you will do that, that there's enough money, enough ongoing money to make sure that the policy can be enacted and it doesn't become another AB 328, the late start bill that had no money attached to it. So there are bills that we get concerned about. It sounds like a really great idea, but without the details and without making sure there's money attached, we really want to be careful about supporting those kinds of bills. And the other thing, some other bills that have kind of worked their way through already is the Senate Bill 70, which is the requiring a child to have completed 1 year of kindergarten before that child may be admitted to the first grade. It passed the Senate Education Committee and now it's in appropriations. So this is moving along, everybody, just telling you. And then, of course, on the federal level, there are two bills dealing with the IDEA, special education funding, which would fully fund it at the federal promise of 40%. So we're really, really hopeful that those bills that have been hanging around for a while will finally gain some traction. Like Jenny said, in the president's proposed budget, he does have money, he's in alignment with these two bills. He really does want to have it completely funded within 10 years. And you go, oh, wow, 10 years and you're only getting $2.6 billion a year. Well, that $2.6 billion is the largest ever increase. And Kevin Gordon from Capital Advisors says that 2.6 billion is more than it's ever in all the years combined ever received as an increase. So we're really excited about that. And this would be in the president's budget would be ongoing money, just like Title I. It's ongoing money. It's not one time. The other, since I am on the federal budget side, the other thing that I was excited about was a $1 billion increase to the number of counselors, nurses, and mental health professionals in schools. And again, that would be an ongoing fund amount of money. So Jenny's right, the biggest excitement was Title I, was IDEA, and for me, the counselors and the mental health part. And again, this is all ongoing money, so that was really exciting. The other part of the president's agenda, the infrastructure bill that is being bandied about and negotiated, we're excited because schools are actually considered infrastructure. No way, yeah way. And so the great part is that part of it would go out in grants. Some of it would be leveraged through bonds. So if you do matching, you just gain so much more in your projects. And in, school safety, improving your indoor quality, HVAC, all of that would be available with and covered. And what we're excited, it also includes broadband internet access, workforce development staff. It's included in the infrastructure, $48 billion. Yes, Chicky Mama, let's get going. And lead pipe removal and electric school buses is a focus. So between infrastructure and the president's budget, it's really exciting time for education. There seems to be a real support for the whole idea of focus on education, and you will have less problems with children in the future. Let's cut off the pipeline to juvie and jails, and let's pour the money into where it matters most. So that was exciting to look at. And staying with the state budget, Jenny's correct. We have May revise, but usually the state Senate doesn't release like their budget priorities to after he gives his May revise, kind of like as a counterpoint. Like, yeah, that's all good for you to say all that, but here's our priorities. And the Senate is really listening to ACSA, to CSBA, to CTA about what. Yes, we're having growth in revenue. What are we really going to do with it? So some of the areas that are exciting in the state Senate side is they want to buy down the rest of the deferrals, the remaining 3.7. So they want to put more money for child nutrition services, which never ever happens. So everybody is like doing the loop-de-loop on that one apparently. And they're wanting to put in some one-time money and ongoing resources in Prop 98, which is a big, huge thing. We always talk about Prop 98. It was where it's funded now was supposed to be the floor. And right now, already all legislators think it, well, not all, a lot of them think that's the ceiling. Oh, we funded education. Well, you funded it, but there's so many areas that are underfunded. And so that's exciting. There's also a lot of support for mental health and social emotional learning. There's also, the last thing was, again, increase for special education. It seems like that messaging, that special education costs and services are rising and the funding is not keeping up with it. So that is super exciting news from both the federal and the state. I was really excited. Sandabs has been again, this whole idea of reaching out. One of the goals of the last 2 years is making sure that every board member has this conversation, that we put it on our agenda so that if we hear something, that there's a bill that we are concerned about, that we can talk about what kind of direction we want to take, if we want to take action, what kind of advocacy. And this Sandabs has even gone further into advocacy, where we're now having meetings individually, with our individual state senators and assembly members. And so we met, of course, with Senator Connie Leyva. She's an amazing supporter of education, and she's just has such a passion. We just met yesterday with Assembly Speaker Eloise Gomez Reyes. And the things that we talk about are the things that we are our concern. Fair and full funding. You hear Jordan talk about it all the time, about how we have to keep our eye on the prize. Fair and full funding. We also talked about last year in the budget, the supplemental impact money that the governor wanted, and it was approved in the budget. What happened is that it was supposed to offset the deferrals. Well, he's buying down referrals, but he's decided, well, we're just not going to give the supplemental money, which would have gone into Prop 98. So there's a hard fight to get him to keep what was approved, what was already enacted. So that's a big, huge fight we're talking to everybody about. This time I was given a piece of transportation, which is exciting. So I got to talk about how it encroaches upon our general fund. It encroaches upon the general fund of every district that uses transportation and needs it. Silver Valley, Karen Gray up there, she said that they have a lot of military families, and if they don't have busing, their kids will not go to school. That's how much busing is a necessity for them. And transportation encroaches on theirs. And collectively, transportation encroaches on the general fund of all 33 of the San Bernardino school districts by over $100 million. So this in education, and transportation doesn't receive a COLA. So that's another talking point that we make with everybody. I'm not going to go into all the talking points. But we are having these meetings on a regular once a month basis with a different legislator each time. And we are assigned talking points. I either get budget or transportation. So it's kind of cool. I get to, and the best part is Jenny, your one pager. I use it to death. I do. I am like, it is right there at every single meeting. And I quote those numbers and give our story. So thank you for making that available, because it's a lifesaver in those conversations. So I appreciate it. I'm going to tag on to a little bit of Jordan's. Even though we have this money coming in, there is problems in the future. We're only hold harmless certain, and this COVID relief money will run out. And after that, every district is going to see a financial cliff. Kevin Gordon talks about it almost every single report. Some of the things that we received, there will be a substantial increase in unemployment insurance next year. Kevin said they're not sure if it's a temporary spike or it's going to be ongoing. So just heads up on that one. CalPERS, we're going to talk pension relief. CalPERS is meeting next week, and they're to set the employer contribution rate for 21-22 fiscal year for the school districts. And the recommendation will be to adopt a rate of 22.9 percentage points, which is an increase of 11%. And then the proposed 2022-2023 percentage rate, the proposal is 26.1 percentage points, which is an increase of 13% more. And without any relief from the state, what we're looking at is about a 21% increase through 2025-26. That's on just CalPERS.
Can I just add with that is our COLA goes up maybe 3% plus or minus. But
This-
our
yeah.
cost for retirement that we have to pay out of our own funding is going to increase by in excess of 20%. So it reduces the amount of money that we have then to be able to pay for everything else.
Exactly, and as you see the schedule, what you're seeing is the probable COLAs are anywhere from 1.5 to 2 point. You might see some 3, but really it's in a very low range. And we're this year was actually 0% COLA because the COLA that they are giving for this year is technically being paid next year in a compacted COLA. So it's unfortunate, the shell game, that kind of the stealing from Peter to pay Paul kind of accounting practices. I'm not sure how I could do that in my business, but there you go. And then CalSTRS is going to increase from 15.92% for next year's rate to 18.1% beginning July 1st of 2022. So think about that. That's almost 3 percentage points. So that was those rising costs. The transportation costs are rising. Hesperia's transportation costs rise 2% every year, and we don't get a COLA for that. And so we're talking about, Jordana's right, our COLA that we receive does not even cover any of these increases.
And just a little now, 15 to 18% is actually a 20% increase.
Yeah. So percentage points, they're going up that many percentage points, but you're right. I love that you can do that in your head. I'm like so in awe. Okay, and then the last thing is, actually there's 2 things real quick. In regards to the governor's announcement for reopening the entire state. Yes, let's run it up on June 15th. Because schools are reopened, most school districts are reopened, it doesn't really affect us that the tier structure, those colors are going away. The one concern is the fact that California OSHA requirements in terms of their guidance, they still are not in alignment with the California Department of Health. And in the next couple months, they need to get together, and it has to do with the area of vaccinations and closures. Because right now, Cal OSHA is like, you have an outbreak, immediate closure. They don't take into account the number of adults that have been vaccinated and the vaccination characteristics and impact on your place of business or school district. So those two things, Department of Education, Department of Health and Cal OSHA need to align themselves so that there's no hiccups when we go back to school in August. And then the very last thing is that Capital Advisors will be hosting a webinar on April 29th at 11 a.m. on learning recovery as it applies to the ESSER monies, which is really important that you understand the provisions of the ESSER monies so that you know how they're spent. Jenny's correct. Each pot is a little different, a lot of overlap, but also a little different. And there's real emphasis with ESSER 3 for extended learning recovery time, expanded time, learning loss recovery. It's all about making sure that we know what the loss is. So assessment and using that data, using evidence-based programs and practices to address what you see from the data, and then moving forward and with it. So it's going to be a really great webinar. Anybody wants to, I'll send it to you guys when I get the link from Capital Advisors. But it was a really, see, I told you Jenny's right. A lot is going on right now. So it's like, ooh, how exciting.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, 11.0 action calendar. 11.1 superintendent approval to revise the attached board policies, VPs, administrative regulations, ARs, and exhibit E to our policies and procedures. The revisions were provided by the California School Board Association, CSBA.
So moved.
Jordan? Do you have a second?
Second, Cindy.
Any discussion? Let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed unanimously. 11.2, personnel services, approval of the personnel page, fiscal impact budgeted.
So moved.
Second. So Bill and Cindy, any discussion? Let's vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed unanimously. 11.3, personnel services, approval of the memorandum of understanding, MOU, between Rim Teachers Association, RTA, and Rim of the World Unified School District to provide a one-time $750 stipend to unit members for the purposes of transitioning from distance learning instruction to a hybrid in-person instructional model only. This will impact approximately $132,831.30. Unrestricted general fund COVID personnel.
So moved.
Bill? Second. Cindy? Discussion? Let's vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.4, personnel services, approval to provide ROPCTE teachers a one-time $750 stipend for the purposes of transitioning from distance learning instruction to a hybrid in-person instructional model only. This will impact approximately $5,625 unrestricted general fund COVID personnel. So moved. Cindy?
Seconded.
Jordan? Discussion? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.5, personnel services, approval of the school administrator community liaison job description, fiscal impact, none.
So moved.
Jordan?
Second.
Bill? So discussion? I would like to ask some clarity as far as whether this is a new person we'll be hiring or what just some information about this position.
All right, thank you. So this is a new job description. Unfortunately, Marlon Humphreys, the principal at Charles Hoffman Elementary School, is retiring. She's been a fantastic administrator, has been with this district for a number of years. One thing we're noticing is over the years, like a lot of our school sites, is that we're decreasing in enrollment. Right now, Charles Hoffman is under 300 students. Again, it's a fairly small school size. And so we recognize that. And so what we are looking at is a way to serve the needs of the school site. We understand there's a lot of meetings that have to take place, but at the same time, serve the needs of our parents and our community. And this is why this is a two-fold position. It's not adding another position, it's replacing the one that's currently at the school site. This is a dual funded position between general fund and Title I. And that's why we're able to focus a lot more on the parent involvement and also the community involvement, which is actually pretty exciting. That we're going to have someone in kind of a split position, taking care of those school roles as well, but actually having someone else also be able to work, not just at Charles Hoffman, but district-wide in trying to get more parent involvement. Exciting, different. This is kind of a new venture into this role. See how this goes, but we're actually in general very excited how this is going to help our district as a whole.
And you've been super excited because we were just talking about the parent participation in DLAC, ELAC, and LCAP. So hopefully this makes a difference.
And then just to reiterate, it sounds like there's going to be funding such that we're right now, Mrs. Humphreys' position is 100% funded out of our unrestricted funds. But now there will actually be a decrease.
Yeah, so yeah, the decrease in the general funds, again, substituted with a partial time.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So 12.0, consent calendar. Is there anything that you guys wish to hold at all? Or any discussion related to? I do have one question, and that's related to the PO report, which is 12.20. And on page 173, and in our big packet, There is an expenditure for $292,122.23 for equipment from Score Vision, and I was hoping it might be, it's a huge amount, so.
That is the actual, the next step when the board approved the donation for the high school scoreboards. We're having one at the football field and two in the new gym. So we approved the donation, we received the check for it, but then you'll see POs in relation to that total donation. So you'll see POs and payments but that is out of the donation account, and that is that's either the total PO or progress out of donation money.
Thank you. Are there any other questions related or anything that you wish to have pulled from the consent calendar?
Again, not to be pulled, but just I think it's a comment to be made about the superintendent's live stream keynote speaker, that she was able to work some significant steps to get the number much lower. And I think there's just praise there, and I'm hoping that the staff looks forward to that keynote speaker event.
Terrific. Okay, in that case, we'll go ahead and can I have a motion for 12.0 for the consent calendar in its entirety?
So moved.
Cindy?
Seconded.
And since we've already had is there any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that, we have Care Solace in there for a 3-year agreement. Really excited to hear about that. And Michelle was just telling us that she got a call from a district out in Texas asking, hey, we're a rural school district. How's it going with Care Solace? We've been thinking about it. And Michelle was able to tell them all of the usage that we've seen out of it, being another rural school district. They were concerned that it might not be utilized as much in the rural area. And Michelle, when she told them a bit about how great Care Solace has been with us, we were it was very fortuitous that this board was able to get Care Solace in place pre-pandemic, before we knew something like that would happen. So it was quite advantageous when the pandemic did hit that we had it in place, and it proved its value, I think, in spades. So I was excited to see a 3-year agreement on there, and at such an affordable rate, not to mention.
Anything else? I just would like to also, for 12.1, just extend thank you to Connie Santa Cruz. And my understanding is the minutes take approximately all day to be able to listen through again to the meeting, and to be able to provide very accurate, very thorough minutes. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay. So we're ready for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So that takes us to 13.0. So 14.0, governance team future agenda items, planning, time allotted for the Board of Trustees to request agenda items for future meetings. Are there any?
No, Connie, you're going to send out the CSBA survey for us?
Yes.
Okay. And then just making sure that we all know that on the 6th, the board workshop is when we need to begin the superintendent evaluation in closed session.
Okay. It's all part of our governance calendar.
And her contract.
There is one thing I'd like to consider for an agenda item in the future, and that would be having a discussion or possibly discussing ways that we can move ahead as a board. We're looking at ways to increase enrollment. We have our budget committee, but really taking a look at strategies and how we might want to really focus on that.
So I was thinking the same thing, Jordana, and maybe we can include that in the retreat because it's such a workshopy, delve down in, drill deep how we can realistically apply things to our district. You know what I'm saying? So maybe we can take with that. Do you guys agree that?
I was thinking the same thing that you were going to say, but you started talking before me. I think we're of the same brain on this.
Oh, look, Bill is giving us that look. What's up, dude?
Well, unfortunately, some of the sound is not coming all the way down here through the 3 panels.
Oh, no.
So, but on a different issue, I'm looking forward to us hearing some more about the assessments what we're learning about learning deficiency. Because I still think that we're going to have some kind of future plans, additional plans for making up those learning deficiencies. So really looking forward to what Heather left.
The new term is learning recovery. That's the newest, latest. Learning recovery, that's the newest verbiage.
I know, I saw that today.
I just like how it changes all the time. Okay, so maybe, let's put this, a pin in learning recovery and assessments in the retreat too, as a comprehensive. Sorry, I took my finger off it. As sort of like an all-around purpose of the effects of trauma and the pandemic, and it can be maybe a comprehensive dive into it.
Our governance calendar is really full and we do have a lot of meetings and I'm wondering if we're putting a lot into our retreat.
Sounds
So,
like we might need a dual retreat, a 2-day retreat at the different office.
yeah, I know. Yeah, so that might be something for us. Let's wait until maybe when we meet in May to revisit. But there is a lot that we are having included along with having a separate meeting for social justice and equity. So we want to be able to keep track of everything and make sure we're getting all the tools we need to operate. But
So you know what? August is kind of light, right? Connie?
August.
The reason why I'm thinking is I don't have that my binder with me. August seems to be always light, right?
Looks like we don't have anything.
Yeah, maybe this is something that we can put on the August meeting because it is a lighter meeting. Why don't we do that?
sounds good to me.
What do you think, Bill?
It worked.
Okay, which would be, pardon?
I was just going to say that this board is ambitious. We keep adding new things that we want to talk about during the retreat. But the retreat wasn't something that this district has, that this board has done in a while. And we resurrected it and we filled it. And now we're talking about adding a second meeting in August. We just keep adding meetings.
What I'm just saying is that learning recovery can be on the agenda for August.
Oh, I think that's fine.
Okay,
But
we could have another meeting.
I mean,
If you
there's
want.
so much that we want to cover that, this is where we're at. And I like it. I'm excited that we have 5 really active, involved board members that are ambitious. We have a lot of things that we want to tackle and we will.
I think that's good. Okay, anything else? Okay, 15.0, future meeting dates, regular board workshop, May 6th, 2021 at 4 p.m. via YouTube, limited in-person attendance here at the Rim High School Library. Regular board meeting, May 20th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. YouTube, limited in-person attendance again at the Rim High School Library. All future meetings will be held via YouTube and there will be limited in-person attendance at the Rim High School Library for the public until executive orders change regarding gatherings. We don't need to recess to close session.
I have one question.
Yes.
Real quick. Connie, on the CSBA survey, board survey, self-evaluation survey, how quickly do we get the results back once we take it?
We're gonna, 2 days. So we're gonna
Okay.
open it on the 21st, it'll close the 28th, and we should have results on 2 days later.
Okay, for the workshop, because we have to, okay,
Yes,
perfect.
we'll be ready.
Just want to make sure we're on track.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Logistics.
Just because COVID has delayed a lot of things, so just wanting to make sure that that wasn't good. Our timeline was still good.
And that's what delayed it to the 21st, because they needed a 2-week turnaround. 2 weeks before they could even open it.
Okay,
So
cool.
they're working with CSBA and they'll open it next week.
Perfect.
Nice. Okay, we ready for 17.0, adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:01 p.m.
Second.
It's So Cindy, Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All those aye for me. All opposed, motion passes unanimously.